What's up, YouTube? It's your girl, woman.wol, but you can call me woman. Coming back to you guys today with another video. So I know it's been a while, and you're probably thinking like, gee, where has she been? Did she fall off the face of the earth? Did she die? And I am here to tell you guys that I am still alive and kicking today. So you read the title. Today's video, I will be reviewing books that I read on Amazon's unlimited Kindle app. So I really haven't seen a lot of these videos done. There's probably books out there. And again, I'm an aspiring author. I'm in the process of writing and finalizing my book. So I read a lot. It's always something I've been passionate in doing and stuff like that. So over the last few weeks, I did read several different books. Some books I believe I did leave like a review on them, and some I didn't. It's not typically like what I like to do, but I wanted to take like me being an author, an inspiring author, me writing my own book. I like to look at stuff like introspectively. So like recently, like I reread my book from the beginning. I changed some things, I added some things, and I took notes on some quick edits and like stuff that I wanted to update and change or whatever. But I was thinking like, because it's been a while since I did another I can link the video below, but a few months ago I did like a video and I'm talking about the response that I got from the test read that I did a few months back. So it's been a while since I did a test read, and I was just thinking like I changed so much about the book since I did the test read. Like I'm interested to see like what people would comment on my book. So that made me think like, well, maybe I should just get online, like not get online, but just create a video of where I'm just reviewing other authors' books. I'll let you know the good, bad, the ugly, what I like, what I didn't like, would I read it again if there was a sequel. Do I intend to read the sequel? So yeah, let's pull up the app. Alright, so I have my Kindle app open on my phone. So what I did was I just went to like the last book that I read. The last book that I read was called The Perfect Waters by Leesha McCoy. And the cover looks like this. If I'm able to the screenshot of it, I'll insert it right here. Yeah. So anyway, I read the book called The Perfect Waters. So what I think I want to do is I will give you the title of the book, the name of the author, read the synopsis, give you my opinion or review on the book, and let you know what I read it again. So that's the order we'll go through. So again, the book is called The Perfect Waters. It's by Leesha McCoy. And actually it says The Perfect Waters, Odessa, Book 1, an African American Mermaid Paranormal. So it's a African American paranormal mermaid tale. So let me read the description, then I'll give you my opinion on the book. And I can even let you know like the publication date and etc. Okay, so a prince a thousand-year old blew well in the race against him to find the single most important things to the water's survival. For the waters to be perfect, an Odessa must connect to all life within them. And if the reigning Odessa loses her life, the sorcery is always passed to her firstborn. Only the daughter the waters know of, not the first. Hold on. Only the daughter the waters know of is not the first. Asia's mother went missing 18 years ago, and since then, Asia has spared the one thing she's always dreamt of working with, the ocean. So instead, she's been living life as a lab tech. She doesn't exactly love her job, but it pays the bills and she has money to spend on nights out with the girls. However, her most recent night out ends with her gaining markings on her skin and losing body parts. Prince Zell is son to Emperor Exdelion and Empress Oceania. They rule Ocilius, also known as the Royal Waters. News quickly arrives of Omarilla's murder, and the waters become a state of panic. Daria, the daughter of Omarilla, arrives in Ocilius to take her position as Odessa, but unawares to anyone she is not the firstborn daughter. A single member of the royalty and priestess Nilani are always pulled to the next Odessa. So are the Murky Sea witches who use hounds to their dirty work. So, with a woman on land, unaware to how important she is, the hunt for her begins before she gets into the wrong hands. Who will find her first? And will Asia be the first to find the one thing she needs in order to claim her sorcery so she can make the waters perfect again? Again, this book was published on September 7th of this year, and it is in English. So overall, first impressions of the book. Initially, when I was reading it, it was okay. It starts off like she's just a regular girl. I believe she's at work. It's like a Friday, and she's at work, and she like hates her job, which I've been there, so I can relate to it. It's just like I guess this will contain spoilers, I guess, because I'm reviewing the book, so I'm going to talk about what's in the book. So yeah, she's like at work. Um, it's a Friday night. Her plans for the weekend is to just get drunk. And on Sunday, her coworker invited her to like a barbecue. So yeah, so she has a group of girlfriends that she normally goes out with occasionally, and they party or whatever. So she's drunk, having a good time. Then like she ends up having sex on the beach with some guy that like she's I guess she just has a sexual relationship with, and like in the midst of them having sex on the beach, her like genitalia, that's the right word, we'll use that. We don't want to get dinged on her channel. I'm not even getting monetized, so I don't want to say anything crazy though to prevent that. But yeah, so her genitalia disappears while she's like having like sex. So that's just interesting to read. So that initially like piqued my interest in the book, and like was like one of the reasons why I kept reading it, because it's just like it's different. You don't read too many books where they're having sex and it just disappears their sexual organs. So it was fairly interesting. Um, and then, so long story short, because I'm rambling, long story short, she, her, her mother was a mermaid. She went on land. It's like the mermaids down there, like underwater, like there's different levels to the mermaid. So it's just like if you're not like royal or like the Odessa herself, or a part of her like royal guards, or like a part of like the royal family, you're just like a regular mermaid and you can't really do things. But like certain mermaids have the ability to walk on land and change their appearance, and it's just like I guess she found out that eventually she was destined to be Odessa, so she spent like some years like above sea, like she got a man, like she had a baby. Then her mother died, and she had to return to the sea and leave her daughter or whatever. But she never told anybody that her that she had like a baby. So she goes on, she goes to have like another child. Then when she passes, it's like the first daughter is automatically to like inherit the Odessa, like, and the Odessa's supposed to be like the person that restores balance to the water. So she's just like to HBIC, to say at least. And it's just like for her to truly master her skills, she has to like find like love or something like that, or fall in love. And it's just like I feel like after that point, after like you discover like what's what and like everything, like I'm telling you, it kind of like is rushed. Since I write, I felt like I was able to guess like certain like plots of the story. Granted, it was still something different. I don't write paranormal, so it's just like I still enjoy reading it, but I felt like it was very predictable, and I'm not certain that I feel like the predictability comes from like me being like a writer or like into read and write stuff. So I did find it like a bit like cliche and like predictable. Nonetheless, it was still good. It ended as a cliffhanger, so there will be a sequel. Will I read it? The sequel, more than likely. Scale of 1 to 10, I'll probably give it a 8, 8.5. Nothing, maybe a 7.5, 8. I'd say 7.5, 8. I felt like I'm not certain where the writer's from. I guess I can go and read her like not biography, but just like see like read her bio. But it's just like certain words in there, not was dated, but it's just like she just used different words that we don't use in my region. So it's just like I picked up on that. Then what else I picked up on is just like why are mermaids saying Jesus and crap like that? Like, so that's one thing I didn't care for in about a book, like Jesus Christ when they're referring to something or something. But I feel like if they're a mermaid, like what do you know about Jesus? So that's like something else that I didn't care about that like particular book. Okay, so the next book we will be reviewing is called 2 Million Reasons Why, written by Chenelle Parker. This is what it looks like, the cover. Again, if I can, I will link a screenshot. But anyway, this book is called 2 Million Reasons Why. It's by Chenelle Parker. So date, author, book title. Let's read the synopsis. I'll tell you the date it was published. I'll give you my opinion on it, little spoilers. Then I'll let you know what I rated. So the description says, because it's been a while since I read it. Again, I read a lot, so it's just like I'm just picking random stuff at this point. I'm not even picking like my favorites. I'm just picking like different types of genres too, because I want to give you guys like different reviews. I don't want it to be all from the same like cusp or like literary preference. Like the first one was paranormal. This one's kind of like hood literature fiction type of book. But this description says, what you don't know can indeed hurt you. And Izzy, Idris King found that out the hard way. Being street smart wasn't enough when it came to love and relationships, and his girlfriend Sasha was proof of that. Feeling like she was in a one-sided relationship with Izzy for 2 years had Sasha questioning herself. Izzy built an impenetrable wall that was impossible for Sasha to break. Self-doubt weighed Sasha down like an anchor and left her with more questions than answers. Izzy was only doing what he was taught, and unfortunately he wasn't taught enough. Being from a small town in Mississippi, Navy Reed didn't know much about the fast-paced life of New Orleans. After moving there with her boyfriend Chance, Navy was ready to reconsider her decision and run for the hills. Navy's knight in shining armor turned to be nothing more than a liar in tinfoil. Meeting her best friend Reagan proved to be just what she needed to keep her sanity intact. When Navy finds something that isn't being sought, her life seems to take a turn in a better direction. Unfortunately, the fear of trusting someone had her paranoia at an all-time high. Like shadows, fake people followed in the sun, but left Navy in the dark. She soon learned that enemies often disguised themselves as friends. When it was all said and done, running away was Navy's safest option, and she had 2 million reasons why. So I actually chose to read the book 2 Million Reasons Why because I was just scrolling and I thought that she had a sequel to this. Because when I first started reading this author, she used to have books and it used to have part one, part two, part three, part four, etc. The books. Then she started to like gravitate towards standalone novels. So when I saw this, I assumed that there was a but that's just me not really reading the titles thoroughly. I assumed that there was like a part two of the book because I do like to read books where there's sequels or like a part two to the book. But she has another book called Trillion to One. So it's just like 2 million reasons why I was in a trillion to one. I would think like that would be like the next book, but it has nothing to do with it. So I found that out after I like got to the end of the book. But that's fine. So I'm glad I read the description because I couldn't really remember with the book. The one thing about the author Chenelle Parker, when I started reading her a few years ago, she's definitely not my favorite author, but she's for sure a good author. She had makes like really good stories. They're not too far fetched. They're somewhat believable, and they're not even like necessarily like hood books and talking about like drug dealings and stuff like that. The person may do that, but she doesn't go into detail about it. It's more so about like urban like lives of like black women and like the type of relationships that they have or just like black people. So that's why I like her because it's just like the stories are like something that you can see like reading on the news or just like that happened to so and so I know or it could even happen to you as the reader. So I like to read her because it's like fairly like relatable. In terms of her writing, like it's okay. Like I feel like it's not bad at all. It's not bad by a long shot. She's definitely a good author, but she all of her books are like sort of similar. Like I know some authors that just write different types of like books and they don't stick themselves into like one box as far as genre goes. So it's just like I don't feel like she has like a lot of variety in her like writing, but like it's still like good stories that she writes, if that makes sense. But besides all of that, let's dig into the book. So we'll actually start with Navy. She's like this girl, I think well she's from like Alabama and she's real country. She makes it known that the girl's like really really country, and a few years ago her mother passed, and she went on a deep end. None of this is like we don't read about her mom's funeral and what happened. She just like fills us up on like what's her life been like far as like what's led up to the moment that the book starts. So basically, like at the start of the book, like her mom's already dead. It's been some years. Her dad's and her had like a falling out because she resented him because he started to date her mom's best friend and had a baby with her. So she has a baby brother and but her and her dad went to therapy. She stopped drinking. She stopped going out. She got like on a better track with life. And then like she met some guy at the Essence Festival like a year prior. I guess they talked on the phone a lot. He became smitten with her and he invited her to move to New Orleans with her. She jumped at the opportunity. Her family and her friend, well her cousin by marriage, a guy that actually likes her and her father were the two advocates that was advising her it wasn't a good idea. But the one guy, he really liked her. So he was just like, it's not a good idea, but it's just like fall so you can get hurt so you can see why not to fall again. So he wanted her to go down there to see that the dude basically wasn't beat. So she goes down there and I guess this is when I should start talking about the Izzy guy. So the story actually opens up with the Izzy guy. The story starts with him being faced with like jail time I believe he does like a year or two or whatever. His girlfriend at the time is pregnant, but they're engaged, they're living together. Um, Long story short, they make it seem like he's a dealer amongst other things. However, like he got like a wall built in his house with like money in it. And it's just like when he went to jail, he found out that his pregnant fiance's baby wasn't his and that she was cheating on him. So like he just let the house go to crap. He couldn't afford it, but he's like, F her, like the hell with the house. So when he gets out, he doesn't live there anymore, but he's like a little bit like fascinated with like the money that's in the house still. So Remy, no, not Remy, Navy, she moved to New Orleans and she happened to move into the house that he got foreclosed on with her man. And then it's just like she went to school for nursing. That's the only reason why well, that's another reason why she moved to New Orleans for nursing. So she moved for nursing, and one of her nursing friends was Izzy's sister-in-law, but she didn't know that like Izzy's sister-in-law didn't know about the money in the house and etc. So like 2 years go by, she invites Navy to her house for like a welcome home party for Izzy. Izzy isn't really like blown away by her. Like they make it seem like she's a cute girl, but she like never really does her hair and gets dressed and like underplays her looks. So she probably looks like me. Her hair probably, well, my hair's done now, but she probably always keeps her hair in a ponytail. It's seldom that she like dresses up, so like people don't pay attention to you when you're regular and you're in your comfort. But when you step outside of that and you actually do something with your hair or throw something on, people want to give you all of the looks. I'm only wearing this shirt today because I went to a funeral. But anyway, she he wasn't like thrilled with her when they like first met, but Izzy and his brother, there's like several brothers. It's like the big family. I'm not really going to go into detail, but they drive past the house that Navy now lives in, and like her man comes outside, and they make it seem like, oh, should Tikwa told us to come here. This isn't her address, and blah 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 blah. So they see what her man looks like. They just never saw Remy before. So Remy's car was on a fritz or something, and she called her boyfriend to pick her up. And they saw the boyfriend pick her up, and that's when they put two and two together that Navy lived in that house. So from there on out, like Izzy started to get cool with Navy initially on the pretense that like he was just trying to like get into the house or whatever. However, he started to actually like her. She started to do her hair and get dressed and stuff, and he really like became into her. So like the money part was like the last like thing from like on on his mind. So like her man at this time like was a gambler. Yeah, and he just like picture coming home one day and like, babe, I got you this, I got you that, I got you that. And the next day this man then went and gambled all your money, and then you come home and the TVs is going off the wall. And it's just like that happened like a few times in the book. So he's not stable. He has a gambling addiction. Um, she's just feeling like she moved to New Orleans for all of the wrong reasons or whatever. And then Remy actually finds the money because like they had like a fight. They had a fight one night, and like I don't know. She finds the money. She like has the wall. I don't know. It's why I keep calling this girl Remy Navy. She finds the money. She keeps it. She doesn't tell anybody like she has the money. She don't even know what to do with it. She just gets like a storage unit and places the money in it. Her and dude really like it. They hit it off. They ended up moving into with each other. The cousin by marriage ends up doing something sneaky, and I just encourage you guys to read the story because I don't want to keep just sitting here trying to think about what happened because really like nothing's coming to mind. Well, something's coming to mind. I just don't want to give you every single freaking detail of the story. So, would I recommend it? Yes. Was it a good story? Yeah. Scale from 1 to 10, I give it an 8. It was pretty good. So I would recommend. I would actually recommend reading any Chenelle Parker book. Um, they're not too long reads. They're not too short. But if they're like, if you think it's short, there's probably like a second or third book after it. Then I told you she like eventually progresses into standalone books. Like me, I read pretty fast, so I don't like to be able to finish a book in like a 1 day sitting or a 1 day reading. I like to span the reading over like a couple of days, whether like working or not working. Like I want to be able to read it within a few days. Like if I'm not like I don't like it if I'm off of 1 day and I wake up and read a book, and by the end of the day, like I'm done reading the book. I would like to read it like over a span of a few days, but most authors don't make books that long. But anywho, she's definitely a good author. I recommend reading Chenelle Parker. She'll have you laughing. It's very interesting, and she's good with like having like just a whole bunch of like myths and like crazy like stuff and shenanigans going on. So yeah, read that. Okay, so the third book we're going to review. And let me know, you guys. Comment below now if you want this to be a serious series. So comment now if you want like a part 2 of this. But anyway, we're going to review the third book. The third book is written by Ivy Symone. I can say she's probably one of my top 3 writers. Definitely top 2 at the moment. I would say her and Desiree Granger are my 2 top people to read. Ivy Symone has a way of writing books that just like draw you in, and like you invest your emotions in the characters, the people, the storyline. And I like what her is. I told you guys that I'm a writer, author, avid reader. So I have a pretty good thing with like guessing out storylines, whether I'm reading a movie, TV series, books. I'm really good at figuring out what's about to happen before like it happens. With her, I'd be thinking I'd be knowing what I'd be talking about, and I'd be like wrong all along. So there's always like an element of surprise within her storylines. And I do actually think I wrote like a comment for this one. So I'll actually read the comment that I left on Amazon. I'll tell you about the book. I'll do the description. Then, like, this is the third time I'm doing it. So this book, but I love all like Abby Simone's books. I haven't read like her full catalog, but I read like a good book by her. So if you guys do, before I continue, if you guys do want me to do like another video like this, comment below, because I can just do it on Abby Simone's books. And I do want to talk about my favorite book written by her. I'm mad I didn't think about this before. I was just doing like my most recent books that I read lately. So we're doing book reviews of the latest stuff that I read. However, I will do like a book review if you guys want of my favorite books of all time. So this book by Abby Symone is called Love, a Forgotten Art. And this is the book cover. So let's read about the description. The way they met was unconventional, but it connected them in ways the Sony never expected. What should have been a single encounter turned into several. There was something about Pram that magnetized her to him. Egotistical, vain, and pompous, but confident, beautiful, charming, and eccentric. Pram didn't have to exert his dominance for her to know who he was. Her submission to his energy came naturally. He was what she needed. Prime was the perfect name for someone like him. It was truly befitting. He carried himself as if he was of main importance and considered himself to be the best in quality. And guess, he was the most successful peak of his life. He was at the most successful peak of his life. and he exuded great strength and maturity. Now it was time to settle and find a wife. Unable to change the mistakes of the past, he looked forward to another chance at love and family. He believed he found it in Dasani. She was divine and breathtaking, a chocolate goddess, a priceless piece of sculpted art. Dasani was quiet, hardworking, loving, nurturing, and a successful business owner. Prime admired her drive and passion, but he loathed the pain and hurt in her eyes. All he desired to do was be the man to remove her out of the darkness and place her in the light where she belonged. She was what he wanted. Sometimes what we want and need isn't the best for us, nor is it best for people in our lives that depend on us. After Prime learns that he and Dasani share a mutual loved one in their lives, Prime must make a choice, Dasani or the loved one. But Prime is used to having his way, and not having Dasani will be a problem. Will he be able to abandon the idea of love in order to salvage the broken relationship that stands in their way? Or will he forfeit the opportunity to make amends and hold on to his disowning? And that book was published September 22nd of this year. Again, Ivy Symone, she's like a really good author. Um, I'm sorry, I was looking because I thought like my like comment would just pop up. I don't really remember what I rated the book, but okay. So I found my review. My titles, I put always a pleasure to read. Abby is always a pleasure to me. All of her stories are entertaining and have elusive plot twists at the end. Just when you think you have everything figured out, there's always that one aha moment. However, no other books of hers compared to The Bed We Made. And that's my favorite book by her. Um, So this book was like really good actually. Standalone series. What I learned about reading her is don't get your emotions invested in a character. It's the worst thing you can do with reading her books or whatever. So this book, it starts out Dasani. She her nickname goes by as Deuce, and in her like former years, she used to be like a lesbian stud, I think, but she was known to be like really boyish and really thuggish, but cute and like crap like that. But her cousin had passed. With the passing of her cousin, she continued to promote her cousin's hair care line, and with promoting the hair care line she got into the beauty industry, so it made her become like really girly. So at the time of this book we're now introduced to Dasani, and she's like left her alter ego or nickname Deuce, like that's like a former of her. So now it's like her journey, like embracing and just like being a woman, but she's still like in a lesbian relationship. And it starts with her at a sex club looking to have sex. And we don't know at the beginning when it starts that she's dating like a female and that she's gay. Like we just think like she's on a prowl for dick. Um, she's a little meek and like timid because she knows she has no business like being there, and she's very like embarrassed, and again like she's still trying to be comfortable just being like a woman and dressing like a woman and just being true to herself. So like she's still struggling with that fact. So like she meets this dude that's just like, here, drink this, like here, take that. Then he like walks away from her, and like he comes back to her. She ends up having sex with him, but she tells him to stop because like she was molested by like her uncle or something, and she like when she was having sex with him, she just like kept picturing her uncle like in her ear and saying like stuff that he would say to her like back in the day when he would like molest and rape her. So like it makes their sexual encounter interesting, their first sexual encounter, but it doesn't deter him from reaching out to her again, apparently like in a haste of her trying to get away after she had like her little breakdown. Like her purse fell over and she left one of her business cards, and he reached out to her and he was just like on some like, oh, I want to see you stuff. But anyway, her fiance is a female that's kind of like a hoe and be sleeping with like a lot of people. She just like really likes sex a lot, and her baby's dad came back in town. Her baby's dad and her father is back in town, and apparently she has strange relationships with her. Um, those men in her family, but I'm going to speed it up because I don't want to give too much detail. But here's the spoiler. Long story short, as you read in the book, you're thinking that the Sony is dating her fiance's baby's dad, but in all actuality, she's dating like her fiance's father. Then come to find out, the Sony got pregnant like as a teenager by her uncle, and the uncle made her give up the baby, and they gave the baby to the man she's having sex with now. So her fiance's father's daughter is actually her daughter. It's just like a whole bunch of drama. Then the daughter tries to set the dad up, and the dad thinks that the two are into it together. It's just like a lot and lot of drama. She gets pregnant. Like it's a good read. I definitely recommend it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give it a 9. Not a lot of books like knock my socks off, and I'll just be like, oh, hands down, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Best book I ever read. So like these are pretty high ratings for me for the books that I'm given. Like even the paranormal book, granted it had like some work, and I feel like if she would have just like marinated on it for like a month or two and just like did more or added more in certain parts of the book, it would be like a much better book and like higher on my like average than a 7.5. But I like the creativity of the book, and again, it's a paranormal black book about mermaids, so it's just like that's not really common. So it's just like I give her an A for effort. um the second book, Chenelle Parker, any book you're going to read is going to be a decent read. Again, she's not going, well, with me, she's not going to knock my socks off, but she'll definitely, like, maybe untie my shoelaces and, like, take off my shoes. So, her books are always good. And Ivy Symone, like, you'll really like her books. Again, she gets you invested in the characters and you think you're, like, right there. So I really like that about her. And not too many, like, people like books I read like are like page turners, and you just want to just like abandon what the hell you got to do for that day just to read. So it's just like if an author can make me do that, then like I love you. Sorry. So that was my opinion on those 3 books I read. Like, comment below and tell me what type of books you like to read. What's your favorite book? Write it down below for me to check it out, for me to read it myself, and let me know the haps of that. Again, if you would like for me to do more videos like this, the next book would be like my top 3 favorite books by one of my favorite authors or something like that. So if you like this idea, comment below. If you have any other video ideas, comment below. If you want to know how I achieve my hair, even I think, comment below. I didn't film how I colored my hair, but I can let you know how I blew it out and got like this desired look. Also, I have another video of me doing like a updated flexi rod set, so if you guys want to see that, let me know. Overall, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the little notification bell for you guys to stay up to date with all of my uploads. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being a wool. Love you.